two parallelograms and finding the area of that. In a previous chapter, you should have learned what a parallelogram is, right?
Yes.
Okay, raise your hand if you can tell me what makes something a parallelogram. Think about the word parallel that you hear in there. Aaron, what makes something a parallelogram? Two parallel sides. So you're telling me if you're saying two parallel sides, you're telling me that this would be a parallelogram? Oh, has two parallel sides.
Nope.
Okay, so you're telling me that's not a parallelogram. So what do you need to add or change about your definition? Give me that. That's what I wanted actually. Well, yes, a parallelogram is going to have four sides. Not exactly what I'm looking for. Two sets of parallel lines. Perfect. Okay? Typically when we see a parallelogram, for some reason, they like to slant that thing. Okay? This, my friends, would be a parallelogram. Notice the left side and the right side are parallel. If they continued to go, they would never cross. My top and my base are parallel because they would never cross. Okay? So, a parallelogram has two sets of parallel sides. Let's think about this. Pretend like all of these sides are the same and this is a perfect square. Okay? A square has two sets of parallel lines, right? Okay? Is a square a type of parallelogram? Yes. 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 I can't only call it a parallelogram because this also has 90-degree angles, whereas this does not. It has obtuse angles and it has acute angles, but it does not have 90-degree angles. That's the only difference between a square or a rectangle and a parallelogram. Well, obviously a square, all the sides are going to be the same length, but between a rectangle and a parallelogram. A rectangle and a square are types of parallelograms. Okay? We call them rectangles and squares because they have a more specific definition that ties in the fact that they have 90-degree angles. Okay? So, today we're going to be talking about how to find the area of a parallelogram. Did you talk about that last year?
Yes.
I'm hearing yes and I'm hearing no.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we forgot. That's okay. That's why I'm here, to remind you. My favorite thing to do. So when I have a parallelogram, just like when I'm finding area of a square or a rectangle, it's length times width. Okay? I have the same thing when I'm talking about a parallelogram. Area is going to equal my base times my height. This is a formula we have to memorize. We have to know this formula. Okay? My base times my height. So, if I say my base is the bottom, okay? Base is the bottom. So I could say this is maybe 6 meters and this might be 5 meters. Okay, do you see how that dotted line is there? Why would I draw that dotted line there? If I have a slanted line, can that be a direct height from top to bottom? No, because it's slanted. This slanted line is actually going to be longer than what a line straight up and down from the top base to the bottom base would be. So when we're finding the area of a parallelogram, we can never, ever, 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 ever use a slanted side. Okay? Like if they would tell us this is 8 meters. If I'm finding the area of this shape, I don't need that information. Okay? So, base is 6, so area equals 6 times 5. A equals 30 meters. Is this squared? Yes, because I'm finding area. Okay, this would be my final answer. It is squared because we're finding area. Okay, I go from length times width up here when I'm talking about squares and rectangles to base times height when I'm talking about parallelograms. And technically, if you really want to think about it, length times width is pretty much the same thing as base times height. Okay? You're still dealing with how tall something is, and you're still dealing with how wide something is. Okay? So, let's look at another one. Okay, they might say this is 7 and this, let's make this 9. 8. That's an 8. I'm sorry. I don't know my numbers today. That's an 8, by the way. And this is my base, and it is 6 inches. Okay? Again, area of a parallelogram equals base times height. Again, we could see this written as, just to help make you familiar in case you see it this way, A equals BH. Okay? Anytime I have 2 letters right next to each other like that, that means I have to multiply. So you may see it this way, B times H, or you may see it this way, BH. Okay? If I'm going to fill in my base, which is my bottom, A equals 8 times my H, which is height, 6. My math facts tell me that 8 times 6 is
48
inches. Is this squared?
Yes.
Absolutely. Just like area of a square and a rectangle, you absolutely 157% have to have this little 2 right here. Okay? If you do not, it is wrong. Here's my question for you, and then we'll be almost done. I want to show you one other thing. Let me draw this real quick. Is that still a parallelogram?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me the area. Dylan. Alright, perfect. Good job. You all knew that A equals base times height, so you knew 12 times 6. 5. Sorry, I lied. That's a 5. You all also told me that you knew that that was squared. Can I find the perimeter of this shape? Ooh, I have different opinions. Pause for just a moment. My question that I'm posing to you that I want you to think about for just a second. Can I find the perimeter of this shape? You're thinking, not talking. What do you think, Ella?
No, because it doesn't give you the two sides that are slanted.
Okay, I know that this side is 12, right? Do I have any idea what this side is? How is it not 5? Okay, because this is the height. This is not the height. So in order to find the perimeter of this shape, I would also have to know that this is 8 meters. Now find the perimeter. Find the perimeter of this parallelogram. You have to remember what you know about perimeter, Jeffrey. Remember, perimeter is adding all sides together. Do I need this if I'm doing perimeter? No. Perimeter would be 12. Opposite sides are the same, so plus 8, plus 12, plus 8. 12 plus 12 plus 8 plus 8 equals
40
meters. Would that be squared? All right. Here's my last one for you before I put you on your own. Actually, I'm going to give you 2. Okay? These are your 2 to test out to do your homework before you have SSR so that you don't have math homework over the weekend. Unless you cannot be quiet, then you will have homework. Ready? I want area of both of these shapes. I want area of the top parallelogram and area of the bottom parallelogram. I will give you a hint. Sometimes they will tell you the height inside the shape. Sometimes they will tell you the height outside the shape. Either one is the same.